Good morning, coolest coast. It's time for coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts. This is Kristin Odell. I'm Tina Prigge. So good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Kristin, you are freshly returned from an adventure. I can see the glow in your face. Tell us where you've been and your thoughts about it.
Oh man. Well, first of all, thank you guys for letting me take a week off. But we were totally in island time. We were in Georgia, in the neighborhood of Savannah, and very close to Hilton Head. And we stayed on a little island called Tybee Island, and it was amazing.
It's interesting because when a person says Georgia, I don't think about islands. Like I forget that there's a coast there.
What do you think about when you think Georgia?
I guess I think like Atlanta, Augusta, sort of the more inland.
Sure.
I've never been to Savannah, so I just don't have that frame of reference.
Yeah. So we have been in Charleston before and Hilton Head, which is fairly close to where we are, within like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Never realized that Savannah was this close and so drivable, but so beautiful, totally different pace of life, like truly island life. Everything's a little bit slower. There's time to stop and like appreciate things. Like we saw so many beautiful flowers and just wildlife and just different things. And even just the dining experience was just slower and more enjoyable. So good.
Okay, let's talk about dining for a second because this fish looks incredible. I imagine then being on the coast that this is fresh fish.
It is fresh fish. That is a flounder. And you could kind of get it as tenders or you can get a whole fish. And so they just score it and then deep fry it. And so Doug had this. And of course, it comes with a side of garlic mashed potatoes and hush puppies,
Oh,
which, if people don't know what hush puppies are, it's kind of like cornmeal and corn made into a little ball and deep fried. Oh my gosh, so delicious.
so nice. Do you think that's something you could make now that you're back here?
I don't feel like I'm a good deep fryer. Like we just don't
Yeah.
really do that at home.
Yeah,
So
it's dangerous and it's messy, and so right, it's not something I usually ever did either.
yeah. Now, could I? Absolutely. I don't feel like it's hard, but we certainly enjoyed it while we were down there. And there's so much fresh fish and seafood. You can get it. It's not expensive. Like we totally spoiled ourselves.
And it's easy to understand because you said this is a view from the porch of the place you were staying, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this overlooks what's called the Back River. It's this canal that runs out to the Atlantic Ocean. And literally, we could walk out on the porch and walk down the steps and like see dolphins and all different types of birds and jellyfish and shells. And just, it was so peaceful.
That's cool. So was it usually pretty calm like that then too?
It depended. So it's really cool. We got to experience low tide and high tide completely on this canal. So which was a really cool experience for the girls. And the other thing that was interesting is towards the end of the week when we were there, it was full moon, and the full moon causes the tide to be at its highest peak. So we got a chance to experience that while we were there, and we could like visibly see the difference between the beginning of the week and the end of the week when the tide was high.
Oh, that's a cool experience, right? We
Yeah.
don't really experience tides here like
No.
that.
And I mean, Lake Michigan does have tides, but nothing like that. So, I mean, we're talking about a 5 or 6 foot difference in water height between low tide and high tide. So, yeah, it would get, when it was high, it would get a little bit rougher. There would be waves, which the girls love because they could run and jump in. That canal was completely swimmable and enjoyable from the beach we were on. So, it was so
So
good.
you didn't have to take tide into consideration necessarily when you were planning to swim. You could swim the whole
No,
time.
no. Now we did, there were kayaks at the house and we did kayak out from there. And there were times where the water definitely looked more rough or it would have been much harder to kayak, but so beautiful.
Hey, Chris
Okay,
asked, did you go to the crab shack?
we did not go to the crab shack. We went to
So you're
Bubba
saying this is
Gumbo.
not the crab shack?
I mean, that is a crab shack. Um, Yeah, we went to Bubba Gumbo's on the island. We went to AJ's, which AJ's is where that flounder was from. We had just such a wonderful meal at sunset there. Like, no words. We drove our golf cart down there and had dinner and drove. So fun.
Were
Um,
there a lot of vacationers there? Like, is this the time of year when a lot of people enjoy it, or was it mostly locals?
yeah. So what was interesting is the weekend that we got there, there was something going on called Orange Crush, which is like the biggest event festival for like college age spring breakers. And the beaches are like blocked down, and there is like parties and bars and like all the things. So we had been warned by multiple people that we were working with there just to kind of hunker down for the weekend. So we made all our meals at home and kind of hunkered down for the weekend and then ventured out. So I wouldn't say that it was busy or like crazy anywhere we went. Even Savannah was pretty laid back. Um, so I think they kind of shared with us that March is much more of a spring break time or a busier time for them. So that made it very enjoyable for us because we could move around and kind of do what we wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh my god, it sounds awesome. Well, and I love this photo too that you shared, that this is the beach right out of the back of your house.
Yeah, this is where you could find me most days during the week. I just can't help myself. I need my solar panels recharged when it comes to our long winter months. So,
How much reading happened in that chair?
oh my gosh, so much. I finished one book, I read a whole another book, and then I started another one while I was on vacation.
So you started a 3rd book.
Isn't that so great?
That is so great. That to me, that sums up a great vacation.
Okay, so Tina, we
Yeah.
talked about this, I think either on the show or right after the show, but you guys, Tina sent me the title of this book. It was called Home Wreckers, based on Tybee Island. So that is the book I read completely while I was there. And this book is about renovating this beach house, and a murder happens there and all these crazy things. The street that the murder house is on in the book is the street we were staying on.
No, no way. That's
Isn't that
amazing.
crazy? I'm reading and I was like, oh my gosh, Doug, you're not going to believe this. And so wild. It was
So
so
do you think
cool.
the house you were staying in was the inspiration house?
No, I did not feel like that. And the address numbers were not close. Just, I had to make sure. Um, but it was really cool because like all these traditional restaurants and like landmarks that we were experiencing were in the book.
So the book was, like, true to life kind of, that's cool.
So it was very, even though it was a fictional story, it was very much based on like real things that were there. So, the beach, the restaurants, seeing the lighthouse, like all these things that we did were in the book. So I'm like reading it as we're experiencing it, which was really cool.
That's really a rare kind of chance, right? To read a book about a location in situation, to, like, be on that location.
Right. So thank you for the book title. It did
You're
not disappoint.
welcome.
It was fabulous. And then I finally got, yes, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil dropped in and became available while we were on vacation. So I downloaded it. But here's something crazy that I did not realize, and it has continued to blow my mind as I'm reading it. This is a real story. This is nonfiction.
Oh, what? Oh, I didn't know that.
That is a nonfiction story. Everything that happens in that book really happened. Lady
I
Chablis is a real person, and like we drove by where she performed on the trolley tour, and all of these people, like that's a nonfiction story. It has some flamboyance because of just writing and making it into a story, but it's real.
That's incredible. How cool that you chose reads based on where you were.
Right. So super fun. I highly recommend. Savannah is the most beautiful city I think I've ever been in. The Spanish moss, the trees. There are these, now I'm losing the word, but there's these little gardens, these little terraces in between the blocks. And I think there's 21 of them in Savannah. And so when you drive around, you have to like go up, go to the right. They're one ways. You have to like drive around them, and they all have beautiful statues and gardens and trees, and it's just an incredibly beautiful city. So if it's not on your bucket list for travel, put it on your bucket list.
Viewers, if you've been to Savannah or Tybee Island, let us know your experiences in the comments too. So, Kristen, you've got this little glimpse of inside the house you were staying in. I love that you're putting together a Tybee Island puzzle. What are some of the landmarks on that puzzle that you'd point out?
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is good. So in the bottom right corner, you can see it says Back River Beach. That is where we were staying, just to kind of locate you on the island. And so from there, we could actually walk down and around. So you can see kind of South Beach is referenced on that map. We could walk that from our house. So like the first morning, Doug and I woke up early. We walked all the way to South Beach. Oh, good morning, Wendy. Yes, you're right. Amazing food and culture. There's so much history there. Like Savannah goes back to the 1700s. It's crazy.
Oh,
So
I see the
let's
crab shack. So that's what Chris was talking about, right?
Yep. So we didn't do the crab shack, but the little dolphin tours thing, we did go out on a dolphin tour, sunset tour the last night. It was great. Cockspur Island Lighthouse. I have pictures of. We got to drive by that on the dolphin tour at sunset. The main lighthouse there, which is black and white, kind of in that upper corner. We went and toured that and climbed it. It's 178 steps.
Cool.
So I would say a lot of it is on there. We would have loved to see the little post theater. They did not have any shows running while we were there, so we couldn't take that in, but yeah.
So I'm noticing the wall colors behind you. One of the things you told me that you learned about while you were down there was a color called haint blue. Would you say
Yes.
those walls are haint blue or is that different?
Yeah, very similar. I would say it's very similar, which in general is just kind of a beachy color. So we
Mm-hmm.
see it a lot. But yeah.
So let's talk about haint blue. Apparently, it's a specific type of light blue or blue green paint used on porch ceilings. And it's a southern term. Haint is a southern term for ghost or spirit. And the belief was that painting porch ceilings blue would ward off haints.
Yeah. Isn't that so cool? So you had asked me about this and you had asked me to kind of keep my eye out. Now, I would say on the island, I did not notice ceilings being painted, like porch ceilings being painted that color. Lots of houses are painted that color. But in Savannah, I did notice some of the porch ceilings being painted that more traditional color. Um, so yeah, it's really cool.
Wendy said Crystal Beer Parlor still stands and operates since the Prohibition time. Best peach cobbler.
Oh,
Love
that's a good tip. That I wish I would have known that before. We had the kids with us. My mom was with us on this trip. So, we didn't necessarily hit all those kinds of places, but um it's just
Looping back to the haint blue, I think one of the other things that it said was that something about that color paint, maybe it's some lime that's used, helps keep bugs
mm,
away or
I
so
don't
so it's got like this practical application as well as the superstitious.
right. And it's just a very relaxing color. Like the whole house, what the color that was in that picture, all the
Mhm.
walls were that color throughout the house. So, um, it's just a felt very laid. I love this picture for a lot of reasons. I look at Doug all kicked back in the chair. Like, doesn't that just look like vacation?
It
The girls,
does.
girls are playing cards at the table with my mom. Like, isn't that what vacation is for?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you mentioned your mom, which reminds me of my dad. So last time we were talking, you had jump scared my mom at the grocery store. And then just the other day, my dad came over. He's like, guess who I saw at the store? I'm like, oh my God, was it Kristen? And did she scare you? And he said, no.
Yeah, so we were at Hobby Lobby. We were checking out. He was walking in. I totally had an opportunity to jump scare him. The girls said I shouldn't, and I didn't want to give him a heart attack. But we did walk over, and the first thing he said to me was, "Oh man, I'm so glad you got Diane so good." Which I think it's so funny. You guys have so have it out for her.
We do love a good jump scare. I think
So
that's funny that you guys discussed whether or not to do it.
yeah, he was very congratulatory again of me frightening her unintentionally. And then your dad is just so cute. He was like, I'm looking for zipper pulls today. I'm like, oh, John, you're so cute. And then he's like, can we get cribbage on the calendar? And I was like, yes, we're leaving for vacation. When we get back, we're going to do it. So,
Nice. Yes. I'm so looking forward to that. By the way,
yeah.
speaking of my dad too, we celebrated his 81st birthday.
Oh my gosh. I I don't know about you, Tina, but I would never know that your dad is 81 years old.
Oh, thank
I
you.
think he just gets around so good and he's so snappy with, you know, he just doesn't. What do you think his secret is to
I
staying
think
young?
he's got a young spirit. I think he, like water off a duck's back, doesn't hold on to things he doesn't need to hold on to, right? He's just always had a very positive outlook.
Yeah. Okay, so clearly this is where you get some of your positivity from.
Jason says I take after my dad a lot, so that's great.
Yeah. Well, what a great thing. And happy birthday, John. 81 years old. Woo!
I know. Yeah, we did play some cribbage. He beat me. I skunked him, and then we went in for one more game, and he beat me again. So we ended up dead even.
So you're even. I feel like that's a good ending.
Yeah, and I played my hardest, even though it was his birthday. It's not like I was letting him win. I would
Hey, so
never do that.
so your dad let me in on a little secret, you guys. This is so cool. So Tina, when we play cards, you use a shuffling machine to shuffle the cards, or you have been. But your dad told me that you're working in therapy to be able to shuffle cards and deal.
I am. I'm working on it. So we'll see if I can roll it out when you guys come over.
How is it going? Like, is that so? Because I mean, you may have mentioned like picking up blocks. I feel like this is in that same, like, cards are so slippery.
Yeah, it's kind of like a you have to fine tune it, and it'll never be like it once was, but I love the fact that I could use just me and not have to have, like, a separate shuffling device. So
Right.
if I can navigate away from that, it'll be a good day.
Oh my gosh. I think it's so cool. He sounded so proud of you when he was talking
Aw.
about it, and I was like, I can't wait to see that.
If it works, when you guys come over to play cribbage, let's make a little video, and then we can share it with everyone.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Hey, when you were reading any of those books you were talking about, did you come across any words that you had to look up?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there was a word in the Midnight and Good and Evil book that I had to look up the other day, and Doug was like, "That's a Tina word," but I don't remember what the word was. So I'm gonna try to find it and send it to you. But you have a hard word for us today.
Yes, I was reading a book, and even in context, I just could not figure out what the word meant. And even now that I know the meaning, I'm having a really hard time figuring out how to use it, like in a spoken sentence. So here's the word. The word is perspicacity. Perspicacity, which kind of sounds like perspiration and tenacity or perception and tenacity. And the definition is the quality of having a ready insight into things, shrewdness, the
Yeah.
perspicacity of her remarks.
So, I mean, you sent this to me ahead of time to ponder. And the first thing that I had to do was hit the little microphone thing where it pronounces it for you because I could not get it to roll off my tongue the right way. That
That
S in the middle makes it very difficult for me for some reason.
oh no, I get it. It's a mouthful of a word,
Yeah.
perspicacity. So
Yeah.
can you use it in a sentence? Viewers, can you use it in a sentence? Can you put it in the chat? We're just trying to figure out like the appropriate use of this word.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go to like leadership or decision making, like the person had great perspicacity in this situation. Like, I think that's kind of where my mind goes. But other than that, again, it doesn't roll off the tongue for me automatically. So to like build it into real life feels really hard.
Yeah, so maybe it's like, thanks to her perspicacity, we were able to put together a, really solid budget.
Yes. Yes. Or
Viewers, we need you to weigh in. What
her perspicacity allowed her to make a delicious dinner. Does that work?
Does that work? You know what? I asked ChatGPT to give us some sample sentences because I really could not get my mind around it. And this is what they said. This is how ChatGPT put perspicacity into a few different tones and contexts. So, academic tone. The philosopher's perspicacity allowed him to discern nuances in ethical arguments that others overlooked.
Mm,
Okay, so that would be kind of like the shrewdness, like the extra perception.
yeah.
Okay, casual or conversational. I was amazed by her perspicacity. She figured out the twist in the movie halfway through.
Mm,
Okay, professional. His financial perspicacity helped the company avoid a major investment mistake.
okay, that's kind of what one of the examples we were using.
Literary. With quiet perspicacity, she read the unspoken fears etched into his expression.
Mm,
Okay, so it's like a deeper awareness, being in
right.
tune. Okay, and then critical tone. While he was confident in his conclusions, they lacked the perspicacity required to understand the full complexity of the issue.
That feels heavy.
It's a deep word. I'm not sure I have the perspicacity to understand the term perspicacity. How's that?
You totally did it. I do feel like it only applies to a small group of people, unless you're saying they don't have perspicacity.
Do
You know what I
you
mean?
think
Like, I feel like it brings a level of expertise that only applies to the minority of whatever you're talking about.
like not everyone is capable of being perspicacious?
Right. Like, I mean, I guess maybe we're all experts in something, so that's where it would apply. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Becky said that was awesome.
Becky, your challenge for the day is to integrate that into one of your counseling sessions today.
I do feel like Becky is a person that lives life with a certain perspicacity.
She is very knowledgeable, without a doubt.
All right, so yes, put your creative hats on and let's see how you can use perspicacity. And that Chat GPT, I think that gives some great suggestions of how it could be used. But even still, I just can't roll it out.
How was it used in the book that you were reading?
Um, Very generally, so kind of like the sample sentence here,
Okay.
the perspicacity of her remarks. But like that makes me think they were like acidic remarks or something. Like, right? Like the
Mm,
it makes me think that they were like biting remarks or something.
sure. Which is not
It's not the
necessarily
meaning.
the case.
Yeah. Nope.
Did you
It
say
means the shrewdness. It was saying that her remarks were really insightful, right?
right?
They were really shrewd, kind of acutely understood. But
Mhm.
until I looked it up, I didn't know that.
Me neither. I would have to look it up, or I'd have to use my Kindle to tell me what the word meant. I will have to find the word that was in the book because it was a total discussion. Doug and I had a full discussion about it. Like, dang it, now I can't remember it.
Oh, if you find it, let us know. That would be so interesting.
Tell us about your Easter, Tina. How was it?
Oh, Easter was so nice. My parents came over. Jason prepared a meal for us, and my mom brought a treat. She brought something called Dubai chocolate that she got at Bjornson's. Now, when
Mm,
I saw this, I thought at first it was like a little artist's paint kit, like a little watercolor set. And it's not. When you cut it, it has like a pistachio and sort of a toasted phyllo dough
mm,
cream center. And because it's pistachio, it's it's green.
totally
And so
green.
like looking at that, I'm like, "Oh god, I wouldn't eat that." But it was incredibly delicious. The like saltiness of the pistachio perfectly complements the sweetness of the chocolate.
Mm. It looks like there's coconut in there.
I think that's the shredded toasted phyllo dough,
Is
which
it?
gives it a little bit of a subtle crunch.
Mm. Um,
I've got a little video clip too. Let me just show So it kind of oozes out just a little bit.
So if you were to describe, like, I love pistachio. What is it like? What does it taste like altogether?
The taste is wonderful. So you can discern the pistachio, and then you get this subtle crunch with the toasted phyllo dough, and then the chocolate, especially the Spearnson's chocolate is always just so smooth and creamy. It's wonderful. But I had a hard time visually, right? Like visually, I'm like, I don't think so. And so, like at first, I wasn't sure if it was an Easter joke. Like, are you really supposed to eat this? Is this like Easter grass from the Easter bunny's basket or something like but once I was assured that it's a real thing, and I looked it up, Dubai chocolate, it is this trending thing that started in Dubai actually. And so it's pretty cool that Bjornstens has picked it up and is making it.
I mean, this feels like modern chocolate to me. So, when we think Beards's chocolate, we think, very historic and I would say traditional things, right? But this is not traditional in our sense, right?
Right.
Now, I saw online that they were starting to offer just certain days of the week. And then I think they sold out, and now they've decided that it's going to be something that's available all the time.
Ooh, so it's not just for Easter.
I think so. I think I saw that. I should really double check my stats, but
I
uh,
love I love the term modern chocolate. I think that's a really cool concept. And you're right, it does feel like really modern chocolate.
it's just like updated, and I think it's like more complex, right? Because there's obviously like a lot going on there, almost like a flavor experiment, or experience.
It is a flavor experience. Kristen, can I say I'm impressed by the perspicacity of your remarks?
Sure, sure you can.
So
I
what do you
think.
think? Would you try it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have had I'm trying to think if they were from Cola or somewhere else. I'll have to ask Doug, but one time he brought this little box of chocolates back. I think he was somewhere else. And they were very, I would say, similar to that in just really different flavor profiles and ingredients. And some of them had nuts and like different spices and different things. And we like cut them. They were really little. They were only like, this big around, and we would cut them in half so we could try different ones. And I think it's just kind of a neat, sweet treat to have that different experience.
Well, and it's kind of nice that the sweet is tempered by the salty. But
Mm,
like a pistachio is not over the top, right? Its flavor is also kind of subtle,
right.
and it was just a nice combination.
But I mean, isn't that the goal in like all dishes to kind of have that balance of sweet and salty and crunchy and
Yeah.
chewy? Like that's the idea.
Yeah, its umami was on point.
Yeah, that's the word we were going for. Umami. That's a good word to also know.
Thank you.
Um, so when we got back from vacation, like when you eat out, we ate out a little bit more because we're on vacation. You eat, we were in a different region, so we're already eating different sides and different things. And then just to see how different places put things together, I think is so cool. And I came home like so inspired to like, we need to get more ingredients and different colors and different things in. So we did grain bowls one of the nights when we got back. And I have eaten quinoa out other places, but my family has not. And so I made quinoa, which doesn't really taste like anything. It's a good grain for you. And the kids were like, this looks like fish eggs. This looks disgusting. What is this? And I'm like, can you just trust the chef here? And so we made these little grain bowls with chicken and, they had all different veggies and stuff to top. It was a total hit. But like visually, to your point, sometimes like to get over that is so hard.
Yeah, when it's something we're not used to. Well, if you have a chance to try Dubai chocolate, and if it's just too green and oozy looking, close your eyes and put it in your mouth because I think you will enjoy it. I mean, it was really a delightful treat.
Yeah, I love that. And if you guys don't have a chance to look, I'm going to go look and see when they're available or how that works. And I'll try to drop it in the comments. If you can beat me to it right now, go for it.
Wow, Kristen, thank you for this great conversation. So
Mm,
glad that you made it back safely and that you had a wonderful, wonderful trip. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you. I missed you last week. It's a weird thing to like have our Wednesday things again and then not have a Wednesday thing. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be on the computer with Tina right now. This is very weird.
What do you say? You wanna do it again next week?
Yeah, let's do it
Let's
again.
do it. Okay, thanks so much for joining us this morning. You've been watching Coffee with Kristen and Tina. We'll see you all next week.